So, as we get back into this, I might branch out to using a certain plugin, and I'll keep saying that. I'm not trying to be, like, negative or anything. That's just how I'm gonna say it. But also, yes, I'm not gonna spoil anything either, depending on what future Jordan, makes the thumbnail. So, yes, I'm an Invisigal. I'm Team Invisigal, so... If you didn't already see it, though, as I am making sure that my volume is okay, because for some reason it feels like things are loud, yeah, let's move on. Yeah, Team Invisigal and Dispatch is a pretty cool game. So, hey, turns out you don't need to do much. Also, yes, so we're moving on to the next characters. I forgot my god combination. I think we're on Scars. We have we have 3 custom mysteries as well, but don't think we have random item stats. Also, I'm not feeling too good at the moment. So, Katak. I think it was Katak. I'm just gonna move on. So as we get into Katak Scars 3 custom mysteries with our next custom character, yeah, I'm Team Invisigal. Not for any particular reason, although it tends to be as I get second mystery, Takshi-san, Charisma, Strength, second encounter, and then maybe Knowledge last. I think we're gonna go for the Army Knife here. Again, if my voice sounds raspy, it's because I'm a little sick right now. So, yeah. As it turns out, I mean, more than a few of my favorite characters in IPs here and there are tomboys, so I don't know if that says anything. Well, it probably does say something about me, but you get the point. I have my preferences. Not saying that I don't like a Yamato Nadeshiko either, but yeah, I tend to gravitate towards tomboys. Now, obviously, that's not... Don't try to think that this is some real-life preference. Because this is all usually in the realm of fiction, as we get Flood, Akamanto, Colt, Auteur, and possibly 5 boss mysteries with story at the end there. So Akamanto and Flood are guaranteed bosses. So what I do here, just a little quick tip if you're not going to take anything else from this video. Also, trypophobia warning, question mark? But, I mean, it's not that much of a harsh pattern. So Colt... There is a chance to not run into a boss. The reason why I say guaranteed bosses is because some mysteries are not guaranteed a boss. That depends on the situation you're in. For example, for Scissors, you could be in timeline A or B, depending if you put random timeline or not. If you set your timeline, then you know that if you're on timeline A, you have a boss, you have Scissor Lady as boss. Or if you're on timeline B, you're not exactly fighting a boss, but you're doing something equivalent to it. Another example, as we use custom mysteries, as our example, is Colt. So in Colt, if you happen to recruit a mystery-based ally in this mystery, then you can skip the boss fight. You don't have to, but usually I choose to do so because the boss of Colt, I think it's tanky if I last recall. And then Auteur is the same way. Auteur, you can just end up skipping a boss, so there's not a guaranteed boss either. And so the reason why that's important to note, for example, for story, in which you're fighting enemies back to back to back with no way to avoid them, is that you want to... I personally, and for nothing else, again, I need to repeat this because it's important, like taking boss mysteries before the 4th mystery, and for those who have been with this channel for a while, already know, it's because on the 4th mystery and 5th mystery, enemies get a damage increase, which stacks on top of Harbinger's initial damage increase. So, an enemy that does -2 all on Cultist will now do -4 all on the 4th mystery of a Harbinger run. So, let me just make sure, because I also have something on the background for some reason. So, yeah, it seems like I'm getting a thing. So, I'm leaving that in the video, by the way. It shouldn't be too worrisome, because that's just a phone stuff. But that's the reason why we're doing Akamanto, Flood, and Story in some order. Probably actually in that order. So, let's get into it and move on. I need to set the thing to silent, so I'm not going to cut this. But, yeah, we're going to move on. So, our first line of business is to prepare. I personally like to prepare to get funds. You can tree twice. For those who didn't know, that was pretty much the old tactic. If we can get a weapon at all, please. Oh my goodness. We're just going to wait for the Army Knife. It's that important. But yeah, before we had the prepare sub-action, we had the witch tree, in which you visited twice. You visited it twice and got 4 funds. And then you got 1 funds from the figurine, so that usually gets you any weapon you would desire, minus a random item stats 6 fund Army Knife, or any other weapon that might cost 5. Also, we're on Scars, right? So we're actually taking less damage, but since we're on Katak, we want to make sure that we're ready for battle. That's pretty much the end of it. Also, I need to do this. So, yeah. So now that I've set things properly in real life, let's set the police patrol somewhere in the game. Forest Mansion, and then we have Auteur. Do we have any mansion investigations? Let me see. Colt and Auteur. So yeah, a lot of forest. I know Autor takes me to the forest, I think once or twice. That's not a lot, but it's gonna count when you count other mysteries. We are in Akamanto now, as we get an injury. That's not gonna be good for our ghost encounters, but I don't really have a choice. Actually, we're gonna visit the history club once. And 3 Doom for possibly 2 reason. On average, maybe like 1 to 2 reason, but still, that's I would trade at times 3 Doom for 2 reason. Now, I wouldn't always like to do that, because keep in mind, as I said before, base rests are 3 Doom for 2 stamina, 2 reason on a Harbinger difficulty. So, yeah. Now, that being said, I think it's been a while since I did anything other than Harbinger difficulty, but I think Cultist, I think those are... No, actually, I'm thinking of the level ups. Never mind. On level ups, I'm going crazy. Never mind. I think we can one-shot, not Takushi-san, Akamanto here. And then I can talk about Dispatch, pretty much. I mean, I'll just say the name because that's what we're dealing with here. So, yeah, I've been through Dispatch. I'm Team Invisigal. That's pretty much all I can say without spoilers. But that being said, I can talk about basically the way the game was designed, I guess. We'll take Flood now, by the way. Obviously, the voice acting is top-notch, but there are other things to notice that I didn't write down because I'm not going to remember to talk about it, I guess, now. But there are other things that game does, because it is a game. It's a very story or linear-based game, but if you're paying, I think it's... actually, I want to check how much. But basically, even if it was $40 USD... And it did come out episodically, but it wasn't, like, really a pain, because anyone who knows... So if you don't know what Dispatch is from Telltale Games, I believe, who are the same people behind The Wolf Among Us and The Walking Dead. But I know that basically the developers went through a lot, so I don't know the exact specifics, like who is... I think that's because I have Second Sight, right? Yeah. Yeah, you know... who remains on the team that worked on Dispatch. But basically, for those who completely don't know, we'll just be very base level here. Actually, I'll take another point of damage, please. Don't hurt me. Well, I mean, that's better than nothing at all. Yeah, this is better. But yeah, Dispatch is a story-based game in which you make decisions. You know, on the lines, I can't think of an example at the moment, but you get the point. And it's very good, in my opinion, at least. I don't remember what the exact... I know there were criticisms on it. And there were, you know, I've noticed a few things here and there. Oh, nice stamina loss, by the way. Well, we can still heal Reason. We're on Scars, so it's not like we're going to be able to... Yeah, in fact, 9 max Reason is our top, but... as I autopilot through this, there are very, let's say, camera direction, scene transitions, scene, not design, but scene direction that game employs to basically make it better, in my opinion, which, yeah, it's something funny enough. As much as I would like to say, you know, it's not too bad, especially in the Western scene of movies and games and whatnot, but, yeah, it is kind of a thing. Also, I don't think there's anything else I should do. Yeah, so... and the reason, one specific example is basically action scenes, being smash cuts to camera, like, just multiple cuts in a fight scene is something that really jars me in other mediums, and actually Dispatch actually handles relatively well, in my opinion. Definitely more than 60-70% minimum. So again, that's just my opinion at the moment, but you get the point. And then obviously the voice acting is top notch, because as it turns out, when you get really really skilled voice actors, we can say the names too, you know, Laura Bailey, Matt Mercer. Am I going crazy? Oh my goodness, I'm going crazy. Aaron Paul, who obviously everyone keeps saying is Jesse from Breaking Bad, but you get the point. These are very experienced people to have working on a story-based video game, and as it turns out, it's really good. And obviously there are more at the moment, but I don't want to butcher their names either, as I did just now. So. But not just that, even anyone, because it's not always the voice actors who are in charge of doing the lines, but there are a lot of moments. From what I've seen, I'm deciding whether or not I actually want the sewing kit. I mean, I don't get a choice here to avoid this, so we'll take the healing. But, obviously, people who are in charge of writing the script, there's a lot of things that can happen under the surface. Even people who are in charge of, you know, how should I say? Not organizing, but that's the best word I can use for now. Organizing sound effects that happen during a scene. Cutting out sound effects or music during a scene for dramatic effect. even if it's to lessen the effect of something happening in the scene. And the best way I can say it, again, without any spoilers, is that there are a lot of moments in which it maintains its, I guess, you can call it dark comedy at times, but also maintains it is. I would say it's in the genre of comedy as well. But obviously, action superhero is action superhero comedy would be like the top 3 to 5 genres for that. Also, 3 knowledge, so this is gonna hurt a lot, but we should be able to make it out relatively fine. Again, we have scars. Also, I should have taken this earlier because then we would have been able to do more damage, but it's too late now. But actually, we do that updates. So what I mean by that, as I switch back to World 4 for a moment, is that notice I was doing 3 damage before I raised my knowledge to 4. That's because of the scaling, but I didn't expect it to update during the fight. And you can see I'm actually doing 4 damage, but I don't think it would have made a difference. So I still would have 3-turned that encounter. If I'm wrong, let me know, but again, I'm autopiloting somewhat. Also, actually, no, we're on scars. I'm going to try to get through this without resting for the restless bonus. So this should be the last encounter. A lot of HP to chew through, but we have 3 attacks at 70%. So even if we hit 2 of these, we hit all 3. But even if we had 2 of those, we would have been okay. That would have been a -2 encounter, which is perfectly fine. You don't always want to take -2 every encounter, but if like several times during a run, especially if they're spaced out between mysteries, I say that you can definitely survive. Me on the other hand, hey. So we'll take Cult now, just in case we get the boss. But yeah, Dispatch is a good game. I recommend it. And as I was mentioning before, the topic of, if you have to pay $30-$40 for basically a game that you're probably going to replay, most people are probably going to replay it twice. Again, without too much spoilers, but you can definitely replay that game because there is gameplay in that game that does affect the story to a degree. Now, I don't want to spoil anything else. So, but I mean, I don't think I'm silly. Oh, never mind. I am fighting the boss. I guess I made the wrong decision there. But, I think the game does a very good job. As I need to rest here really quickly. The game does a very good job of, I guess, integrating the story and the gameplay-based elements. In a way that, hey, you feel like it matters, basically, how well you're performing. Now, there's a certain extent into which that may not be true, and again, I don't want to spoil anything, so I'll leave that up to you if you ever play that game, or watch that game if you're not going to buy it. There's more I could say on that later, but I think it does a good job of giving a game that you might want to replay at least a few times. For story-based purposes, I can see people only playing it once or maybe twice on their own, and I say twice on own because this includes content creators and streamers. So, again, by now, if you don't already know, there is something else to say about that. Also, we should level up now. I guess we'll take Quick Shopper in case we get a pack of cigarettes to lower Doom. But, yeah, I was going to say something. I forgot because I'm now focusing on this, but so 3 reason, don't need to brace, although I feel, well, am I a little bit slower? I am, but we're able to kind of 3 reason this encounter, I think. Ooh, not really. Can I get 2 of these guaranteed? I can. Yeah, I can. So we just need to do 1 big hit, so I'm going to brace, and hopefully we hit this? Yeah, we do. And we're able to do, I think, 11 damage. Sorry, I'm going to be clearing my throat a lot because, again, I'm a little sick. Part of it is a sore throat, but you get the point. But yeah, I was going to say something else for Dispatch. Oh, yeah, that's what I was going to say. So, as we autopilot again, for Dispatch, or just any story-based game, or really any video game, really, pretty much within the first week, after the first week, if you're a content creator or streamer, just expect a lot of backseating. That's just the nature of the environment we're in this day and age. Now, some people may not like it. I can tolerate it, but I personally don't like seeing it myself. But at the same time, I mean, if you're okay with it, sure, but I would wager that most people, just in general, you don't have to be a content creator or streamer, don't like backseating. So, but again, I'm not going to say that that's not a part of our, I guess, culture, I guess, for the internet. I don't know what the best way to say it. Also, we have a lot of Doom to work with. I really should be resting here. That was dangerous because, yeah, we could have died with 2 reasons. So we're going to do our rest here. But, yeah, again, and for Dispatch, it's particularly so. So you'll get a lot of people trying to, in this particular instance, try to push you towards playing a certain way if you're a content creator or streamer. But I want to say this to the general audience because, if nothing else, I want to say please don't pressure people to do things. But, again, I can only take that so far. I understand that I don't have the biggest sway, even if I did have like a lot of charisma in real life, but you get the point. But just know that that's a thing. So especially in this day and age where, in this, at this moment, there are going to be a lot of spoilers going around. Basically for any story-based game. But for Dispatch, yeah, if you're going to play that game yourself, try to avoid even just looking anything up. Shrug. So yeah. And again, that's not the fault of Dispatch or anything. That is literally just the, I guess, again, I keep saying culture, but I don't know the best way to say it. But that's just the way that we are on the internet right now. So, yeah, but at least try to do my part and say, yeah, please don't try to backseat, especially if you've already, played through the game or watched a playthrough of the game. So yeah. And again, I especially if I play a game on my own, I do end up, just making sure I do this correctly. Oh, we have another nice ring, by the way. I might as well use it so I can avoid out of funds. But, yeah, I do look up everything myself anyway, even though usually that doesn't follow my personal preference, which is I usually wait a week before looking at things. But in the case of a story-based game, again, I'm kind of leaning on the other side of just looking things up immediately because, well, as I just mentioned, it's going to get spoiled, so I would rather explore things myself as quickly as possible and then look things up myself as quickly as possible. That's all I'm trying to say. I think we can survive this. If we do, we win automatically. Now, unfortunately, that's not the case here. So, we're going to have to brace. Can I do anything else? Yes. So, what we're going to do here is kick, but also trade off 2 stamina for reason. This is really... I really should have just rested before this boss encounter, but... Okay. So, with that, actually, Ritual Mask saved us more reason, but didn't particularly need it. So, how much time... So, I wasn't paying attention. How many times did the Ritual Mask proc? You can tell me in the comment section below. But otherwise, as we pretty much just autopilot this run. Again, this is a large part due to scars, really, on top of getting the Army Knife quickly. In fact, we even re-rolled a few times for the Army Knife, but that's also because we have the Crestfallen Mask, which we can now equip relatively comfortably. I'll take Charisma just to do it. But also because we're missing more reason. But otherwise, we're just going to go... when I get in this lighthouse here, we're just going to go... Epilepsy warning. But anyway... Yeah, if you have anything to say or you have any questions to ask or you want to see something specifically, please let me know. I will usually try to look at comments. Otherwise, I think I took Flood second. Yeah, Dispatch was a great game. It was a great game. It's funny, and I do personally think that it did very well in its being a, it comes out, it releases by chapters. So for those who don't know, it released 2 chapters since its release every week, and that's a very short time. Usually when you're looking at episodic games, I think that's what they're called, self-proclaimed game dev here, by the way. But yeah, it came out relatively quickly, and that's kind of what I would want to see. But obviously, usually episodic games are made in such a way where they come out and based on interest, they work, and then release the next chapter or season. But in this case, I mean, if Dispatch never gets another season, I'm not saying that as a negative thing. I can respect it. I think it did relatively well in, making sure that it stays open to the possibilities. Now, my worry is, I heard that the voice actors, as the closing note of this video here, I heard the voice actors were in for season 2, but again, they're always challenging, and not just the voice actors, literally getting the same people on the exact same people on the team, minus a few here and there, because maybe they, there's some changes when which people have other projects and whatnot. But otherwise, basically, if everyone's gonna stay there and it takes, a couple more years for the next season of Dispatch, hopefully it does well. Again, we'll see what happens. Again, this is just my opinion and thoughts about the matter. But if you have any other thoughts on the matter of Dispatch or anything World of War related or anything else on this channel, again, please let me know. Otherwise, thank you for watching and I'll see you later. Bye!